Oh,
YouTube needs to see our review.
Okay.
Alright, take it away.
Okay. Oscar Wilde, Coffee Schema. So his life. He was born October 16th, 1854 in Dublin. That's him as a child.
Dude, that's the same day my dad was born.
No, that was an A4.
But on
Just
a different year.
Guys,
He
why would you do
attended
that?
Trinity College in Dublin and Oxford. He was known for his wit, being flamboyant, and liking aesthetics, which is basically just
Being gay.
well, yes, but
spoilers.
like art and beauty
Oh my gosh.
above everything else.
I'm really bad at this.
In 1882, he came and did lectures in the Americas, well, just the USA, for 12 months, and then he went back to Great Britain and lectured on his impressions of us. What?
Sorry, keep going. I'm talking to myself.
Typical.
He married Constance in 1884, and they had 2 sons, Cyril and Vivian. That's Cyril. Vivian's not there. He worked as a reviewer of the Pall Mall Gazette and editor of the Woman's World while he was an apprentice writer, and that's kind of when he published Happy Prince and Other Tales, which is kind of just like his little children's story thing.
Oh no.
And then he wrote and published most of his major works during the last decade of his life. Around the time Vivian was born, Oscar started having secret freaky relations with other men, including Lord Alfred Douglas, who was basically a spoiled little rich kid. Basil Howard, meaning Dorian Gray, these are people from the movie,
I don't know.
who is just this rich, young, beautiful man. And so Basil's like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna paint pictures of him. And he paints one, and it's like, he normally paints him as like a Greek god and whatever, but he paints one of him like actually how he looks. So his friend Henry Wotton meet, and he introduced him to Dorian, and they talk and how his like beauty and stuff won't last forever. So Dorian gets upset, and he decides to curse the picture, and he's like, whatever happens to me, I want to happen to the picture instead of me. Dorian falls in love with Sybil Vane, and because she's an actress and he likes her. And she likes him back and calls him Prince Charming. She decides to quit acting, and so Dorian breaks off their engagement because he's like, well, I don't like you if you're not acting. So then he goes and sees this picture and sees that it's all messed up and it's getting ugly, and he's like, well, crap, now I gotta fix this. And she killed herself, so he can't fix it. But Henry's like, oh, it's whatever, like, she was doing it for art. Sure. So, anyway, Henry gives Dorian the yellow book, and Dorian reads it, and he's like, hey, this is what I'm gonna live by. But basically, it's just like, I'm gonna live a horrible life where I'm just mean and awful, but I enjoy everything I do, so, hey. So, 18 years later, Dorian's still pretty, but he has like a horrible reputation, and he's just mean. But everyone's like, hey, he's hot, so it doesn't matter. And so Basil goes to talk to him, and Dorian shows him the like super ugly portrait now. And Basil's like, well, dude, you gotta fix this. And so he kills him.
Oh.
And in the movie, this will come, well, it doesn't come up later, but it's just back to like Oscar being gay. They kiss in the movie, and throughout the book, there's a bunch of like, hey, these two guys kind of like each other.
True.
We're not gonna say it, but they do. And so the next night, Dorian runs into James Vane, which is Sybil's brother, who has never liked him, and so he's scared of him, and he goes and hides. But James gets killed by a hunting party, so we're all good now. So Dorian decides, he's like, crap, I gotta get my life back on track. And he's still bad though, so he can't confess to his crimes. So he picks up a knife that he killed Basil with and tries to destroy the picture, and the servants hear a crash, and they come up to the room to find the picture, all pretty and normal how it was, and then Dorian's old and ugly and dead. Okay. Yeah.
Checks out.
Okay, the importance of being earnest. Jack Worthington lives in Hertfordshire and is the guardian to Cicely Cardew. He was adopted, and she's the guy who adopted him. It's like granddaughter. It's kind of weird family dynamic. But he's super important, and he has a lot of responsibilities. So he has this fake brother who he calls Ernest, and he's actually Ernest, and he just uses him to like go get away from all his responsibilities and go do fun stuff. But he's starting to realize that Cicely kind of loves Ernest, so he's like, crap, I gotta kill him off eventually. And he's also in love with Gwendolyn Fairfax, who is Algernon's cousin. Algernon is his bestie. So the play starts with Jack visiting Algernon, and he finds out that Jack lives a double life. But he's like, hey, I have this guy named Bunbury who is just like my chronically ill friend. Whenever I don't want to be somewhere, I just say, oh crap, he's dying. So he's like, hey, I don't judge. And then Jack proposes to Gwendolyn, and she says yes, and she's like, oh my gosh, I just love your name. It just inspires confidence. It's just great. And he's like, well, shoot, that's not actually my name, so she probably hates me. But her mom investigates Jack and finds out that he's adopted, so she's like, well, I'm not going to let her marry you because you don't have a good society, family life, whatever. So Algernon shows up to Jack's house as Ernest because he's like, well, I kind of want Cicely to be in love with me, so let's do this. And at the same time, Jack comes home with a story about how Ernest died in Paris, so that's not good because, obviously. But he has to go along with it because he can't let all his secrets be found out. So Algernon asks Cicely to marry him, but she's like, wait, we're already married basically because I decided we are because I'm in love with you. So that's all great. And then she's like, and I just love your name. It's amazing. It inspires confidence. It's just great. So he's like, well, crap, now I gotta change my name. So Gwendolyn shows up, and her and Cicely talk, and they realize that they're both engaged to the same dude named Ernest. They find out what's going on and that no one's actually named Ernest, so they get upset and they leave. And everyone starts talking. They're like, well, no one's actually named Ernest. That's me, that's him, yada yada. And so but the girls forgive them, so both the guys are like, well, we'll just become Ernest. We'll go get our names changed. And everything's great. And then Lady Bracknell, which is Gwendolyn's mom, she comes and finds out everyone's getting married and is intrigued by the money that Cicely will inherit when she comes of age. And then her and Jack are talking, and he's like, well, actually, she doesn't get it until she's 30, and I don't want you to marry her because you won't let me marry Gwendolyn, so let me marry Gwendolyn, and I'll let her marry Algernon. Great. And then Bracknell finds out that Cicely's governess, Miss Prism, and she wants to see her because apparently she took her sister's baby and lost it. Turns out Miss Prism, I lost him in a bag. Jack was the baby in the bag. And so originally he thought Miss Prism was his mom, and it was kind of embarrassing because he like made a whole show about it. But it turns out it's Gwendolyn's aunt, so Algernon's mom. And he finds out his name was actually originally Ernest. The end.
Whoa.
Right the fudge.
Okay, the ballerina novel. So this is something he wrote when he was, well, it was after he got out of prison. But it's about whenever he was there, and this guy named Charles Woolridge killed his wife, and that's why he was there, and he got executed. It's basically just talking a lot about why he doesn't like prison. And then, that's important, each man kills the thing he loves. That's something that was in there. That's the prison. Okay, extra stuff. Lady Windermere's fan. This lady thinks her husband's cheating on her, so she cheats on him. But turns out the lady that she thought her husband was cheating on her with is her mom.
Wild. Okay.
So her mom like saves the marriage and everything. It's weird. An ideal husband. This guy, Robert, is blackmailed by Mrs. Sheveley, because apparently he had like a not great past. And then his wife finds out, and she's like, oh my gosh, that's crazy. But she forgives him. All is well. The Canterville Ghost. This came up at the meet. This family moves into a haunted house. That's basically the gist of it.
Hilarity ensues.
Salome, she's the stepdaughter of this guy. I don't even want to try that. And she was dancing for him, and she's like, hey, as a reward, I want the head of John the Baptist. It's kind of crazy, but yeah. And then De Profundis. It was originally like a love letter he wrote to Alfred while he was in prison. But he shortened it into like a thing. And then The Happy Prince, that's the collection of children's stories. Okay, fun fact. His last words were, "My wallpaper and I are fighting a duel to the death. One or the other of us must go." Flamboyant. We love him. He had 3 middle names. Fingal O'Flattery Willis, which not really
Oh, flattery.
weird, but it was like cool. He could speed read and memorize stuff super good. Like in school, he would just like flip through a book and then be able to tell everyone about it. He was a Freemason at Oxford.
You mean
which
Freemason?
Yeah, he was a Freemason. Okay, I was talking to my mom about it because I was like, "What's a Freemason?" And I accidentally said Freemason. I had to explain that. But I don't know anything about it except it's like the OG frat house and built in double diamond study. So that's what I know.
Sounds good.
And then people think if you kiss his tomb that you'll find love.
Oh.
Oh.
Yeah.
I'm not kissing
They
that.
had to put up a fence around it. And then, Holland. That's the name they changed it to. This is his grandson. And he read a book called Coffee with
There it is.
Wilde. Schema.
There it is.
Wow.
Schema.
I think it- Oh,
That's a picture
oh,
of
and he's
him.
there, and he's gone, and he's there.
Oh.
I love that.
Oh,
Okay,
and
and now I'm gonna need lights on, please.
I'm gonna need the lights on.
Let me get another rag.
You're an angel, Max.
Get another rag muffin.
Okay, time for a surprise.
I think I missed.
Time for a surprise. Why did you say it like that?
Where's my computer?
Okay, what are they doing?
What is happening?
No. Ian, where did I put my computer?
I wasn't in here.
Is it?
I don't know.
Is it in your backpack?
Probably not.
You had it.
No.
Just
Okay,
grab
I'll
that.
just
Just use mine.
I'll just use your phone. We'll find that out later. Okay.
My schema is being built.
This is my play I rewrote. Well, it's not my play, it's Oliver Wilde's play. It's an excerpt from The Importance of Being Earnest, but I brain-broke it. And I named it The Importance of Being Sigma.
Oh.
I already made my life.
Oh, God. The importance of being Sigma.
Make sure we project.
Okay, you have to go. Just tell me when there's stage directions and I'll read them.
Yeah, bro, it's been real. But I fear Aunt Augusta won't like you being here.
Bro, why?
Bro, you keep rizzing up Gwendolyn. It's not cool. She's rizzing you up, too.
She's a baddie. I'm here permanently riz up her gal.
I thought you were here for funsies, bro. I call that business.
That's so not Rizzler of you.
You're glazing proposing, dude. Rizzing is so romantic, but proposing sucks. If she says yes, all the aura's gone, and y'all get bored quick. If I'm ever married, I'm gonna try to forget it.
Of course you would, Algie. Divorce court was made for bobs like you.
Divorce court, bro. I heart divorces.
Jack reaches for a sandwich and Algernon slaps his hand away.
Down, Biggie! Not just the cucumber sandwiches, they were Aunt Augusta.
Algernon eats them.
Bro, but you're phantom tax.
Nuh-uh, she's my auntie. We cool like that.
Algernon grabs a plate of bread and butter.
Here, Queen, take some bread and butter. It's for your girl, Gwendolyn. She loves this stuff.
Jack helps himself to some bread and butter.
Ooh, it's slay.
Slow down, Bigums. You're acting like y'all already locked in. Y'all aren't, and y'all ain't gonna be.
Bro, what? Why are you lying?
Bro, girls just flirt. They don't actually lock in. They're such bombs.
Nuh-uh.
Uh-huh. That's why there's tons of single dudes everywhere. Also, you don't have my consent.
Bro, why would I need your consent?
Yeah, bro. Gwendolyn's my cousin. And before I let you rizz up that cat, you gotta explain your sus behavior with Cecily.
Yay!
That was crazy.
I'm so
I fear it.
Well done. Divorce court was made for bops like you.
Yes.
Let me get another rag.
All of that's going on right up, by the way.
Bring me another rag.
That was actually pretty good.
We did it.
I don't know who this goes to.
Jeffrey approves.
Yeah, that was pretty good. You should start doing that for